Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. Today I've got kind of a scary video for me to watch. The dumbest questions I've been asked by Americans. Hashtag Ask a German. So this is from Feli from Germany. So I'm a little bit nervous on behalf of my fellow Americans. What kind of stupid things they've been asking Germans. But we're going to find out and we're going to get through it. Okay, let's go.
You know when people say that there are no dumb questions?
Yeah,
I actually say that
true.
myself a lot. Well, turns out sometimes there are.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few myself.
Hello, servus, and welcome back.
I've probably asked a few myself.
Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube
Servus? I wonder what that means.
channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living
cool.
here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016.
Oh, awesome.
So for the fifth and last
Since 2016, wow.
video of my Ask a German mini-series, I'm gonna answer this question that a lot of you guys also voted for in the poll. What's the most annoying question you get asked by Americans? Which reminded me of this TikTok trend from a couple months ago where people from all over the world talked about the dumbest question an American had asked them.
There's maybe like 10 of us all trying to explain to this American couple why they probably don't have fireworks for the 4th of July in Marrakesh, Morocco.
And I said, I've never really been more than a city kid. Like, I've always been either near or in a city. And she asked me, weren't you born in Peru? And I was like, yes. She goes, wait, I don't understand. Like, how are you in a city in Peru?
And then he said, oh, by the way, I wanted to tell you, it's not pronounced
It's hard to watch.
Algeria, it's pronounced Argentina. I had to explain to him that I came from an actual country called Algeria.
So I decided that I'll be sharing both with you, the most annoying and the dumbest questions I've been asked by Americans.
All right, good.
And of course, no offense to anyone who has
Bring it
asked
on.
me these things before. As I said
Yeah. No offense, these are just the dumbest things anyone's ever asked me before.
in this video, I usually don't think that any questions are stupid, especially when it's about cultural differences and those kinds
I think that just makes it worse. Usually no questions are stupid, but these are so stupid, I have to admit. Apparently some questions can be stupid.
of things. But that doesn't mean that there aren't moments where I think to myself, wow, seriously? Still, please just take it with a grain of salt.
right,
Let's
let's
start
just
with the
get it
dumbest
over with.
questions I've been asked by Americans. And the first one is this one. Why do we call Germany Deutschland in German? I had never been asked this question before I came to the US, and
I have... That's not a bad question, in my opinion. I'm embarrassed.
I
But
do understand people wondering about why Germany has so many different names in different languages, but I've straight up been asked before, so why do you have a different name for your country? Why don't you just call it Germany? Or why do you call your hometown this weird other name, München, if you could just say Munich? Number 2 on my list is this one. Hi, I'm Felicia. I'm from Germany. Wow, that's so cool. Like, have you lived in Germany before? Yeah, I was born and raised there. I didn't even come to the US until I was 22, after I got my bachelor's degree. So, do you speak German?
no. I don't speak German. No, I just lived there for 22 years.
Which language do people think one speaks when they're born and raised in Germany? Sometimes the conversation even goes on a little. Yeah, of course I
That just sounds like some stupid question some like really awkward boy would ask.
do. Like, fluently?
So,
Yeah,
do you
it's my
speak
native
German?
language. Like, my whole family is German. And guys, I've probably had this conversation 10 to 20 times in the US, so it's not one of those once-in-a-lifetime situations. I actually just had it again
Sadly.
this past weekend. Before I share the next question on my list, I want to introduce today's sponsor, who
We're skipping that because they're not paying me.
summer previous exams, your situation. And I've been to about, the next one is yet another one that I had never heard outside of the US. And I've been to about 20 different countries in total.
gosh.
Hey, German girl, so what's it like driving on the wrong side of the road? What do you mean? You know, since we drive on the right side of the road here, so do we in Germany. Wait, I thought you guys drive on the left side. I really don't know why so many people think that.
You guys drive on the right side? What? I watched that video about the Autobahn and I didn't even catch. I mean, I guess it's hard to tell when it's all going one direction, but
Because I'm telling you, Even Americans that know a little more about the rest of the world than the average American have asked me this before. But guys, it's
I mean, I had no idea. Yeah. It's actually pretty simple. We're basically taught that the rest of the world, for the most part, drives on the left.
mainly the UK and former British colonies that drive on the left side, like Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, or
Yeah, but that's kind of a lot of the world.
countries in Southeast Asia like Thailand. But in Europe, we all drive on the right side,
What?
besides the British. Next up, I always
I
find
had
it
no
a dumb
idea.
question when I tell
Good to
people
know.
that my name is Felicia or Felicia in German, and they ask why I have an American name if I'm German. I know that's not a super dumb question, but I always find it a little ignorant. Like, so many names are names that you'll find in all kinds of languages, like Julia, Julia,
Yeah, I wouldn't think anything like that. I wouldn't. That's not even that's not a common American name at all.
or Anna, Anna, or Peter, Peter, and Felicia
It
has
doesn't sound American at
a
all.
Latin origin and shows up in all kinds of languages. That's actually one of the reasons my parents gave me this name, because they thought it might be helpful if the name exists in other languages as well. And well, they were right about that. And to get to the really, really dumb questions, we're gonna have to go back in time a little to when I came to the US for the first time at the age of 16 to participate in a high school exchange.
Because I can agree, high schoolers are idiots. Like, at least I'm not some high schooler, so I don't have to like try to defend them.
Some of the American kids were even younger than 16 at the time, and I think it's okay that they didn't know all that much about other countries, but I was still shocked by some of these questions. I got the classics, like if all Germans are Nazis, or if Hitler is still alive, but also questions like,
Who would ask that? That just sounds really offensive.
if all Germans are Nazis, or if Hitler
Like,
is
even if you're that dumb, are you really that rude?
still alive, but also questions like, do you guys have refrigerators in Germany?
In one of the videos, apparently, I still need to react to like another German house. By the way, this whole channel is dedicated to reacting to German stuff. So if you want to watch some more of that, you can subscribe if you feel like it. But anyway, the video I saw said that Germans don't have freezers, and you guys were going crazy saying that is not true. So I'm just acknowledging, apparently that's not true. And I know that now from your guys' comments. But refrigerators?
Alive, but also questions like, do you guys have refrigerators in Germany? Now let's get to the most annoying questions I get asked by Americans, and the first one is more of a me thing, I think. I don't think that other Germans are annoyed by this, but when people talk about soccer around me, they often go, oh no, sorry, you guys call it football, right? So this football player, Lionel Messi, blah, blah, blah. Or when I say soccer, people often go, wait, I thought you guys called it football. And yes, I know that some Europeans are very set on calling it football, but I always find this kind of annoying. Like, I'm speaking American English right now. Why would I call it football if that just leads to confusion in this country? I really don't care what it's called. I just want to make sure that everyone understands what we're talking about. Plus,
Some people do have very, very strong opinions about that. But I think that mostly comes from like saying that American football is not football. You know, that's the part that really gets to them. They're like, it's not football. You don't even play it with your foot.
no, we don't call it football in Germany, actually. We call it Fußball. So I personally really don't care which English word I use for it. In American
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. They don't even call it football. Fußball.
English, it's
Which here, Fußball is the tabletop game with that's like soccer.
called soccer, so that's what I'll say, and
Okay.
that's what I expect Americans to use too. Then I find it kind of annoying that I always get asked things like, wait, don't you guys drink your beer warm in Germany? No, Kyle,
I've never heard
we
that.
don't. I've addressed this
That would be gross.
topic in several videos before though, if you're interested. Number 3 on the list of annoying questions is when
I've never heard that.
Americans say something like, so how are you dealing with all of our local accents? Like, have you noticed that some people will call it pop instead of soda? That must be so confusing to you. What accents are you talking about? Like, yes, regional accents are a thing in the US, but compared to pretty much every other country in the world that has been around for more than 300 years, Americans literally speak the same wherever you go. Like in Germany, we have over 100 dialects and our country is smaller than Texas. Sometimes people speak a different dialect in the neighboring village with different pronunciations, different words, and different sentence structures. It's really not that crazy that there are a couple words that people use differently in different parts of the US. Given how big this country is,
I'm trying to relate. It sounds like the unfortunate part is it sounds like part of this is just people just like making friendly conversation. Like, oh, isn't it? Do you ever find it odd how people around the US say different words for soda? Where it's like, is that? But I guess it would get annoying if you're being asked that like all the time.
The amount of different accents and dialects is actually extremely low. And the same thing goes for when people say things like, you gotta know that us Americans, we use a lot of slang. We don't really speak proper English, you know. Oh, thank you for explaining that. Yeah, other languages don't have
Cringe.
colloquialisms and slang. And last but not least, this
Who are these Americans? They're stupid.
might sound kind of mean. I think a few
I mean, I know there's plenty dumb Americans.
of these things actually have some slang. And last but not least, this might sound kind of mean. I think a few of these things actually have sounded kind of mean. But I sometimes find it annoying when people ask me about how authentic the German food is at a specific restaurant here. Like, it really depends on what you mean by
What's wrong with that? I'd be like, what's the most, because I would just be interested if someone is like from a different country and we have, I don't know. I'd be like, so is that restaurant actually pretty authentic? Like, is that like what, like how they serve the food in Germany? Like, is it similar? Is it almost as good? You know, I feel like if I went to Germany and people were like, hey, is this Southern American barbecue place, is that pretty like authentic? I'd be like, I'd tell them one way or the other.
that because we don't eat schnitzel and potato salad every single day in Germany, and most of what you find here is traditional Bavarian food and doesn't represent the rest of Germany at all. So the answer is that in most cases things have been Americanized a little, so that's something that I can at least judge, and it's also pretty easy to judge the pretzels, which aren't German at all at most places in the US.
See, that would be interesting. I'd be like, oh, that's fascinating. Tell me more. Because I love pretzels. I want to try a legit German pretzel. That is what I need. So I would love to hear her talk about how crappy the pretzels are here.
And beer cheese isn't a German thing either, guys.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And neither
Always
is
thought it
dipping your
was.
pretzels in mustard. But yeah,
You guys don't dip it in mustard? I could have sworn you guys do.
I personally don't love that question because it's just such a vague question to answer. And the weirdest thing is when people ask me about pseudo-German food that is actually from the US, like Geta, which is very popular here in the Cincinnati region, or sauerkraut balls,
I've never had either of those.
or the beer cheese dip that I just mentioned. And then
Beer
people
cheese, yes.
ask me how authentic that is. And I'm just like, well, I've never seen this before I came to the US.
I mean, that's interesting, though. I mean, just from my standpoint, I would think that's an interesting answer. I'd be like, how authentic is this? And if she was like, I've never seen this before, like you guys made this up, I'd be like, wow, that's shocking and interesting. So, I don't know.
Yes. So those were all the things that
I just feel a little bit bad. It's hard for me because some of these questions I would ask, and I'd be fine with the answers she gives, but it hurts me to know she'd be annoyed.
that I could think of for these questions. The craziest response on TikTok that I've come across, and several people have shared the same story here, is about Americans being confused when a foreigner explains to them that their family is 7 hours ahead because of the time zones, and apparently the American doesn't really understand time zones.
Come on.
So they ask, so why didn't anyone warn us about 9/11 then if they're 7 hours ahead?
I'm debating what I should. Guys, I hope that's a joke. Okay? I'm saying that to everybody. The Americans who said that, to her, to anybody who's ever heard that or said that, I sincerely hope that's a joke. And I'm just gonna leave it at that, okay? Because if I like stayed on that and actually thought about that and thought that people really meant that, it would make me sad. So I'm gonna move on.
Yeah. People have seriously
That's too dumb.
shared personal stories like that, and there are a lot more of those questions out there that you can check out. This was it with my Ask a German mini-series. If you
I mean, that's really dumb. You'd have to literally be like, maybe if you're if you're under the age of like 7, then you could get a pass for saying that. But above that age, that's hard to believe. Genuinely, that's hard to believe that anyone would actually be like, well, why didn't you warn us? If you're 7 hours ahead, you're in the future. What?
If you haven't seen the other 4 videos, just check them out up here. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe.
That was painful. That was a really painful one. Oh gosh, thank you guys for sticking around for that. I hope you enjoyed that because that was really hard for me. There's some dumb freaking people out there, okay? But hey, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Regardless, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.